Hello and welcome. I'd like you to picture a scenario where you've just witnessed a car accident, and in this car accident you see car blue slamming into car red. Now I'd like you to project yourself 3 weeks into the future, and you're asked to attend a legal hearing where a legal professional asks you questions about the eyewitness event. And one of the questions states, did you see car blue run through a stop sign and slam into car red? Now I'll inform you, there wasn't a stop sign there. You don't remember a stop sign being there. But you can't figure out why a legal professional, who's supposed to be credible, would be giving you misinformation about a small, minute detail like a stop sign. So you say, well, a stop sign must have been there. Car blue must have ran through the stop sign and slammed into car red. Now, while this may seem like a typical general memory error, this is actually attributed to a larger cognitive process and phenomena known as the misinformation effect. According to Elizabeth Loftus, the misinformation effect states that exposure to misleading details can increase the formation of confidently held false memories that will later on be exacerbated and regurgitated down the line in the future. Now, while this may only seem applicable to the legal setting, it actually has a highly prevalent relationship amongst other social institutions and social structures in society, ranging from politics to culture to a variety of other social structures and institutions. And as college students, we are the main demographic being exposed to misinformation because the main distributor source is, you would guess it, social media. Now, as a student researcher, I've spent countless hours studying cognitive processes such as memory and its relationship with the deleterious effects of misinformation. And today I hope to share with you why we should take an active role at negating and reducing the harmful effects of misinformation on our country's social institutions and social structures, starting with political misinformation. Now, political misinformation is largely distributed, as I stated before, through social media. And the major fear with political misinformation is that it increases and has a causal relationship with political polarization. Actually, a research study conducted by Bago and colleagues in 2019 demonstrated that the distribution of fake news via social media increases hostile attitudes towards political outgroup members and also decreases the likelihood of a political member like myself having an interaction with a political outgroup member like someone else. Now, political misinformation isn't just solely isolated to social media, but it can also be exacerbated and pushed out through political candidates such as politicians. Take, for instance, on the Joe Rogan podcast, when RFK Jr. made a statement about a causal relationship between vaccines and neurocognitive development disorders like autism. Now we know from decades of research that vaccines actually have protective health benefits for children regarding hepatitis and amongst a variety of other physical disorders, neurocognitive disorders. So why would a political candidate like RFK Jr. make such a bold and blatantly false statement? Well, the main reason political candidates would do this is to push a political agenda, to develop a rapport and create further divide between the political affiliation they're associated with and their followers. Now, aside from political polarization, another large distribution of misinformation is oftentimes associated with, in the legal setting, regarding attorneys and the questions that they use. So many times attorneys will ask questions regarding multifaceted complex components with complex syntax in them. And oftentimes they'll embed misinformation within the context of these questions. So it makes it very difficult for eyewitnesses to answer, and oftentimes forces eyewitnesses to assent to events that weren't actually true, kind of like the example I stated earlier regarding the car incident and the stop sign. Now, this is extremely dangerous because we know that it will lead to an increase in false indictments, and according to the Innocence Project, many tens of thousands of false indictments have likely been produced due to poor question techniques involving the use of deliberate misinformation embedded within the questions that attorneys are using. So I could go on and on about other forms of political misinformation or legal misinformation, but I think you guys understand the assertion I'm making here. Political misinformation has a very harmful and deleterious effect to memory, as well as the social institutions and social structures set in place, and oftentimes ruins the integrity and trustworthiness of our social institutions and structures. But how could we combat this? Well, we can't really combat this at a macro level because it's not likely that we'll get the opportunity to step in front of Congress and make the argument that political misinformation is wrong. Everyone knows misinformation is wrong, but we can use and utilize micro acts of aggression to combat misinformation. And I challenge you guys to do this through social media, which is highly prevalent amongst our demographic. So one way we could do this is to report political misinformation, to report legal misinformation, to report medical misinformation, such as the vaccines causing neurocognitive disorders and development in children. Another way, if you like making social media videos, you could make TikToks to combat misinformation. And you can directly address misinformation in these TikToks from splicing videos that contain misinformation in them and producing objective facts and reasoning to combat the misinformation in those videos. So I'd like to actively challenge you guys to join me in the pursuit of restoring the integrity of our nation's social structures and institutions by combating the misinformation that has infiltrated and plagued our society. And I'd like to finish off with a quote from author George Orwell that states, "In times of deficit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." Thank you.